Hi, welcome to the garden. Today I'm going to give you a full chicken coop tour, go over the details of the chicken coop, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and then at the end of this video we're going to do just a quick walkthrough of our vegetable garden and show you what's growing here in late July. All right, let's start with the outside of our chicken coop. So this wood on the outside of here was reclaimed wood from a shed that my parents tore down, and they weren't going to use the lumber anymore, so we decided to repurpose it into our chicken coop. It's not just the outside. Most of the lumber and the windows and everything are reclaimed. We did have to buy a few new materials, but for the most part it is all reclaimed lumber, windows, things like that. When my husband was making the chicken coop, I had one request. I wanted a Dutch door like this, so I can look in and I can see our eggs, where the chickens are in the nesting boxes, and I wanted to make sure that there are no snakes. That is the only reason that we have a Dutch door. It is cute. It isn't very functional because the chickens will, if I leave it open, the chickens will just perch right here and come out to the garden, and we don't really want that. But I can look in here and I can see if there's any snakes. Another, you have your latch. Little things you don't think about when you don't have a chicken coop. This latch, that is not enough. You have to have something on it that a raccoon or an animal cannot open that, or the wind. We have a lot of wind that blows through our chicken coop because of the way we have it set up, and you need something that's pretty strong. So, just on a side note. Watch out, Rolla. Come on. You cannot have in the chickens today. No, you can't. Go. All right, come on inside and I'll show you the chicken coop. We have a very simple chicken coop setup here. We have our roosting bars that we have over here. We do keep a trash can in here for our food so it stays dry. It does look like our young chickens are using it as a roosting bar, so we're gonna have to fix that problem. We do have 4 nesting boxes in here, but we have 16 chickens. They use 2 of the nesting boxes, that's it. This window right here is one of the most important parts of our open air chicken coop. It has the hardware cloth over the top of it, and it is open at all times of the year. So even in the winter time, here in my 6B, 7A climate, it still stays open even though it's extremely cold and snowy and all of that. And then above you is a window. And that window is open in the summertime, and we close the window in the wintertime. So it has glass that goes over it in the wintertime. And so the air circles in this very large open window, and in the summertime it goes out the window, or out the windows above you, and in the wintertime it heats up the chicken coop. In the middle of winter, this chicken coop will be about 10 degrees warmer than it is outside. On very sunny days, sometimes it's even more than that. This window keeps the air circulation so our chicken coop stays dry. We have a very large overhang off of the top of our chicken coop, so the inside stays very dry. We don't keep any water or anything inside of the chicken coop because we don't want any water, moisture, humidity. In the winter, that causes frostbite. This is our chicken coop door, and it goes out to our chicken run. It is solar, and it goes up and down depending on the time of day. My husband has it set on a timer to come up in the morning, and it goes down at night so that our chickens are safe inside of the chicken coop. And then they can go out during the day. We don't have to come out here every morning and every night to close it. We come out here to get the eggs. We check on the food. We're not messing with bedding because we do a deep litter method on our bedding. So it's very little maintenance, and it has been absolutely wonderful with our chicken coops, with the open air coop, the deep litter method, our automatic chicken door, the big feeders, the big waters, everything is very low maintenance for us here in the garden, and we don't have to come out here multiple times a day and check on our chickens. Now, do we come out here multiple times a day to check on our chickens? Yes. We find them fascinating. We like to watch them. We get their eggs. Our kids are constantly feeding them. My husband grows mealworms to feed to the chickens. Just our chickens here, they're kind of like our pets. Some of them don't lay all that well anymore, but we keep them around because they're fun and our kids love them. This is our chicken run here. It's about 10 feet by 40 feet-ish. And it is located under this very nice weeping willow tree. So our chickens have tons of shade in the summertime in the hot, dry summers that we have here. So it is really nice. This is their water. We keep fresh water in here. We put just like little things for them to jump around, kind of play on. There are some rose bushes in here because we struggle with Japanese beetles, and I thought if I was going to have rose bushes, the only place is going to be in the chicken coop because the rose bushes attract Japanese beetles and our chickens eat them. So that's kind of a fun thing. Underneath here is our coop is elevated. One for predators and two so our chickens have a place to go hide. So if your chicken coop does not have a weeping willow tree that your chickens can hide under, having an elevated coop is very important so that they have a place that they can hide from predators. If you're not going to do some sort of netting or something like that, because your chickens do need a little bit of protection. So we find our chickens under there most of the time. They absolutely love it. They're making dust baths. It's always dry. So even when we get a lot of rain, out here is wet, but under there is going to be completely dry. So their chicken coop is dry, underneath their coop is dry. They have plenty of space to make a dust bath under there because they like to. And back behind me, we have our chicken orchard. We do let our chickens out there in between harvest seasons. They help take care of the grass. They eat pests that are living in and around our blackberries, raspberries, apple trees, honeyberries, things like that. So we do let them out there. We don't let them out there for long periods of time because, as you can see here in their run, they will completely decimate an area. They get rid of all of the grass, all of the vegetation because they scratch and they pick, and that's just kind of what they do. So if you're not moving them a lot, they will completely destroy all of the grass in an area. So we want them in our chicken orchard, but not for long periods of time because we still want the fruit to be productive. When I made my chicken orchard, I thought it was going to be a big enough space that they could just be there all the time and it would be lovely to have your chickens there all the time. I quickly found out that chickens will eat all of the blackberries, all of the raspberries. They will jump up and eat my apple trees. So they love the fruit as much as we do. So we just let them out there after harvest season or in between harvest seasons. We're gonna go back over into the garden and I'm gonna let my husband tell you about more of the details of the chicken coop, why we chose the style of chicken coop that we did. He did all the research when we were building this chicken coop, so he knows a lot more about it than I do.
So this is the open air coop, like my wife has been saying, and it has not always been perfect when we have, and it's still not perfect. It has not always been great when we've had chickens. We started about 4 years ago, and I'm gonna show you a clip right here of what it used to look like. And that's the reason why it looks like it does today. So my wife had the great idea to have chickens for our kids while we're in the garden because it's gonna be fun. And now it turned into I have 16 chickens and she has a garden. So it has been fun, but what I did not like about the original chicken coop is that I had to clean poop out every day. I had to open and close the coop door every day. So what I decided was to start researching the most effective, low cost, low maintenance chicken coop design. And I found this book written in the 1920s by Prince T. Woods. Prince T. Woods designed chicken coops for people all across the country off of this open air method. Hundreds of chickens, and he always used this style. So inside the book, he had exactly how he wanted to show somebody how to show up or hold up to 20 chickens, and that is what we designed here. It's a 10 by 6 coop. It's a 60 square foot coop, and my wife went over everything on the inside, but the reason is because I didn't want two things. I didn't want electric for heat, and I wanted low-cost maintenance, which where the deep litter method comes into play at. So also note, I did elevate this, and that's for a couple reasons. Is one, to give them protection from the sun and predators, but also try to mice-proof the coop itself. And now, in here, you'll notice I have all this hardware cloth on the bottom half, and it's not only important to put hardware cloth on the bottom of a chicken coop if you raise it, but to also bury hardware cloth, or at least put it on the ground about 12 to 18 inches further, because predators will be able to dig underneath that hardware cloth and get in. So if you bury that out about 12 to 18 inches, when they try to claw and paw at it, they're not going to get anywhere. Very critical minor piece to add to the puzzle. Thank you, and we're going to go over the July garden tour right now.
All right, so if you're here for our July garden tour, we're gonna go ahead and get that started right now. So July is definitely a transitional month for us. So we are pulling out things that are no longer productive, and we are prepping the beds for our fall garden. So there is quite a bit still growing in here, but there will be more, even more in August. I'm just gonna go row by row and just kind of give you a general a census of what is growing and what's doing good. So these are the yard long beans that we put in, and something is eating the bottom of them. They are starting to flower, and I noticed ants all over the flowers. So that's interesting. But these are our yard long beans. We have some cucumbers growing here, melons, beets. We have beets alongside here, and they do need to come out. They're done growing. They've grown as much as they're going to grow, and so they need to come out. This right here is a sunflower that my daughter got me for Mother's Day, and I am very surprised. We transplanted it, so I was very worried about it, but it is doing well. Over here in this bed, these are the tomatoes that I had planted with my dill, and they are very far behind. This tomato here, I noticed when I came out a few nights ago, something was eating it. It was definitely a hornworm. I found it, fed it to my chickens, so they loved it. But they are pretty far behind, these tomatoes here, so maybe they're going to be more of a fall tomato. We'll see if they even produce really. And then as we keep going down this way, we have our cucumber trellis, which this cucumber trellis is doing very well still. Maybe not quite the bottom of it, but it's doing pretty good. It's getting a few. This cucumber patch over here needs to go. I need to pull it out. It's no longer being productive. We need to pull it out. We have zucchinis planted in here, and we also have some peppers over there. So some things that are still doing really well. We have our tomatoes over here. These are our Roma San Marzano tomatoes. We are picking them every day. And the basil that we have here, it's doing pretty good. Like I said, this patch here, it needs to go. I need to clean it up. We have our jalapenos, or our trick-dew peppers. They're non-spicy jalapenos. They have been very productive. And they're so fun. So we really like those. Step over all that. Here is our okra patch. I did plant it, I think it was mid-June or even maybe a little later. I don't remember at this point. But so it is just starting to produce. Oh, Rolo. It is just starting to produce okra. So more fried okra is in our future. We do love that. So over here we have our peppers. Again, I had a hornworm on this one. I might still have another one. It ate off the top of my pepper plant, so that was kind of a bummer, but we have tomatoes over here, really just starting to get ripe. I didn't plant a ton of peppers and tomatoes this year because last year I planted an abundance of peppers and tomatoes, and I had so much. I actually am still canning on things in the freezer from last year. So I had plenty. So I really scaled back my peppers and my tomatoes this year. Next year I'll probably scale it up. So I kind of, every other year, just plant what you think you might need. Another cucumber here. This one isn't super productive, but it looks really healthy. So we are having a heat wave currently. In a few days, it is going to drop back down into the 80s. So hopefully a lot of this stuff kind of really picks back up, but we'll just kind of see. We have zucchinis here. I did plant the zucchinis late in the season because of squash beetles. They do seem to be doing pretty good. I've been checking them every day for squash bug eggs and things like that, and I haven't found any yet. So hopefully planting them later in the season has really helped with that. And our parsley that we have here is loaded with swallowtails. So that is so exciting. I love it every year. My kids love to come out and watch them. Let's go down this aisle. I put fresh mulch down on our garden beds because our weeds were out of control. So I cut these flower beds back. They're actually already starting to rebound, and plants are growing back. And then we went ahead and mulched. The star of the show right here is going to be our sedum. If you don't have sedum planted in your garden, you should, because when this blooms, I guess it's going to be a little bit yet before it blooms, but when it blooms, the amount of pollinators that are going to be on this is crazy insane. It's awesome. I love sedum. I actually just bought 3 more, I don't remember. All right, so down this aisle here, I have some beans that I planted, carrots, and rutabaga. I planted here for my fall harvest. I planted it not looking at the weather, and then we had a heat wave. So it was 105 degrees and barely any of it came up. So that was a fail on my part. We'll try again. You never know. This over here, we have our sweet potato vines that are really taking off in here, cucamelons, just kind of random. This bed is in transition. I'm gonna get ready to put some mulch on top of it. We're gonna use straw for the fall. Here in Missouri, we have hot, dry falls. So, and this over here, more tomatoes. There's just 3 of them kind of tucked in here. I've gotten just a few, really just a few tomatoes. Our Roma tomatoes definitely come before our big beefsteak type tomatoes. And then also planted in here, I have some fall pumpkins. There's pumpkins and delicata squash. And actually I see a giant caterpillar. Gross. I will be keeping this Rudbeckia for seed, so that's why I'm going to let it dry here. I will pick some and I'll put it down in my plant room so that we can have seeds, and I'll sprinkle them other places because I will be removing this Rudbeckia from this spot. It was a volunteer, but I just really liked it. But I try to reserve these garden beds for my annuals, either flowers or vegetables, but I want perennials to be in my borders. I have plenty of borders that I don't need perennials inside of my. And then we have a row of basil, and this is over here where we have our melons. We have a lot of melons, and we also have sweet potatoes kind of all sprinkled in here. And this bed, again, you can see a lot of open spaces, which is not something that is very typical for me in July. I pulled out a lot of my crops that were struggling. I still have more crops to pull out that are struggling. And then we are going to replant with our fall crops. Beginning of August, you start putting in our root crops, and then I have actually already started a ton of seeds in my plant room for broccolis and Brussels sprouts and what else? Cauliflower. All of the brassicas, all of the cold weather. Here in Missouri, we still have about 80-ish days till our first frost, so we still have a very long growing season. And I said it once before, but fall is the best time to be growing. I absolutely love it. So, and then another cool plant I wanted to show you, this is the Nicotiana plant. I've never grown it before, but it's supposed to smell. And hummingbirds are supposed to like it. Well, it doesn't smell. At least that one doesn't, but it doesn't smell, but it's really kind of cool. And I've seen a lot of hummingbirds on it, so I'm excited for that. This is my first year growing this little plant here. That's just kind of a quick overview of things we have going in the garden. And thanks so much for watching.